All right, this is the first mobility flow that will teach you how to take the techniques you just learned and put them into something you can do each day. It's a little bit of a ritual, and that's a little more freed up than following a video here and a video there. This will put it all together and start to help you improvise a little bit. There may be a few motions in this that are a little different than what you saw in the videos. Just pause if anything doesn't make sense and take it in, but it should be all relatively similar to the previous videos. So I'm outside with some stretchy pants that I'm not afraid to get gunked up from the grass stains. Grass works, dirt works, MMA tiles that I will link to you guys in your emails also work, but just find a soft surface that you're not afraid to put some weight into, that's a little more forgiving. Wrestling mats, dance mats, anything like that. Carpet works really well as well. So starting in the seated position here, we're gonna just think about getting really tall. And right off the bat, this is too uncomfortable on the hip flexors or the fronts of the hips. Feel free to go narrow, medium, or wide. We're just finding our butt on the floor, sits bones to the floor or ground, and we're just trying to find a lot of height here. So just like in the previous videos, imagine a box that runs from here to here. Imagine that box is neon, and if the lights were out, we would want the tallest rectangle and the most pristine rectangle possible. So we're not gonna let it break anywhere. And here we're just gonna start to focus on our nasal breathing. So I'll have you take 4 to 5 nasal inhales and exhales, sitting as tall as possible, building that rectangle as tall as possible. Tall in the inhales, keep your height on the exhales. Imagine you're growing through the ground, through the crown, expanding your height from sits bones to crown. Try to be as upright as possible. If we're leaned back a little bit, feel free to use the hands and help open up the chest, taking the head back with the chest. If not, just stay here. And again, after about 5 deep breaths, we'll go into the next part of our flow. If you're wide like this, if you're up like this, we'll go into our shin box to one side. Again, foot to knee, knee behind it. We're making a little box here. And you might feel a little leaned over, so feel free to prop up with an arm. But if not, try to keep your crown over your point of support, which is gonna be the leading leg's butt cheek. So I've got my left leg forward here, left hip is into the floor, and I'm growing tall right above that point of support. Here I'm gonna take a couple more deep breaths, getting as tall as possible. Trying to settle here like the sediment in a glass. Just let everything settle to the ground. And after your next exhale, we'll go right back into a wide position. So we're gonna go from shin box to what we call a seated pancake, to another shin box to this side. The whole time, try to be as fluid through the transitions as possible. Don't hold your breath, and just relax in these postures. Tall through the crown, over the points of support. I'm more loaded in my right leg, which is now my leading leg. This left leg is the trailing leg. And we're getting as tall through the crown as possible, letting the hips relax and settle. Just 3 breaths each side. And then we're gonna just go back and forth through our pancake to shin box, trying to stay really tall, find our points of support, going back and forth. Again, imagine that rectangle. When I shift this way, it's gonna break a little bit, but try not to let it break as much as possible. And this is just nice and slow. Another tip here, imagine somebody dunked you into a gallon or a big vat of paint up to your waist. You're trying to put as much paint on the floor as possible. So you want really low knees, and you want to slide as much of the tissue of your legs into the floor. We don't want to see these big ranges like that where we sink our head. We want to stay tall and slide the knees into the ground like so. Again, tall through that, not forgetting to breathe. Once we get to our right side, we're gonna start with some basic hinging patterns now. So I wanna take my chest to my front knee, but I don't wanna forget, if I had headlights on my butt cheeks and I'm gonna hinge forward, I wanna point those headlights up to the sky or the ceiling. So really get some lumbar extension here. Push this leg down into the floor as your support base, and go as low as you can comfortably, feeling a stretch in the back capsule of the hip or the butt cheek. This is as far as I want to go right now. I'm just going to hold this position. I'm going to stay tall through the crown. I'm going to get good spinal posturing. So ear, shoulder, hip, all one straight line. I'm pressing this leg down into the floor to support the weight of my trunk, and I'm going to take 3 to 5 breaths here. If at any point in the video you want to spend more time on one posture, just pause it and hang out, go back through what we've covered so far and continue later. After that third exhale, I'm pushing this leg down to lift me up. And I'm gonna switch, keeping low gate knees to the floor. Lots of rectangular posture. And I'm back to my other side. Headlights on the butt, point them up by arching the back, keeping good spinal posturing. I can go W hands back like this. I could reach forward if I want to advance, but right now we're just kind of warming up. So keep that lordosis, or that curve in the low back. Press this leg down into the floor. Get a good spinal posture, ear, shoulder, hip. 3 to 5 nasal inhales and exhales the whole while. Pushing not only the knee down, but even try pushing the ankle down into the ground. You're going to activate some rotators of the hip and get some better pelvic posturing. On the exhale, I'm going to push this leg down to reach back into my pancake or my wide sitting position. Again, I don't want to come back here. I want to be very, very tall. We'll go to our other side. This time, instead of sternum to knee, I'm going to go sternum to mid-shin. Now, instead of here, I'm pointed here, tall through the crown, headlights on the butt cheeks up. You're going to have less range of motion here, and if no range of motion here, go back to our first posture and just repeat it. But if you can, get that sternum over the mid-shank or mid-calf. Butt cheeks up to the sky, good spinal posturing. 3 to 5 nasal inhales and exhales through the mouth. Pushing that whole leg, heel, knee, hip, down into the floor. It's your statue leg, it's your base of support. Loaded as such. Don't let this back leg lift up. If this is really taxing you back here, add some hands and relax that back leg. On the next exhale, I'm pushing this down to lift me up. And I'm going into my low gate, low knee, floor painting transition, keeping my rectangle in height. Over here, pointing that sternum to mid-shin, going down. This side, I gum up a little more over here. This really wants to help me out. Try to get that hip from here to settle down to the floor. If you're having a hard time and you take your sternum over the mid-shin, add some hands yet again. Butt headlights up to the ceiling, so good curvature in the low back, nice and tall, good spinal riding. 3 to 5 deep breaths. Again, if this is starting to feel really intense over here, maybe we take sternum back over to knee and we do this later. Don't be afraid to be where you're at. Regress when needed. One more big inhale and exhale. And we're coming up here. Now we're gonna shift to our middle split like this. Then I'm gonna have you get really tall and we're gonna bring our feet together and resit. What we're going for is an L shape here, so we're sitting in our L sit. Again, if this is uncomfortable and you can't get stacked through here, then feel free to add your arms. Just don't let your shrugging happen or any rounding of the mid-spine. So sit really tall if you need to use your hands. And if we need to be back a little bit to rest the midsection or front of the hips, feel free to come back here. From this position, whether you're supported or not, we're gonna start what we call a fire starter from the Ultra Vibe vernacular, which I've linked as an influencer in our email. we're going to imagine that we're trying to make friction between the legs here while sitting tall and keeping that rectangle integrity. So as this leg sucks up and back, I twist over to the side, and as it pushes out, I suck the opposite hip into the socket and it twists the torso like so. We'll keep our vision straight forward, but allow the torso and that rectangle to rotate. If you can, really try to clamp your feet together and the insides of your legs together. We're gonna do about 10 to 20 here. Again, if we need to be back here, that's totally fine. Just take your arms with you and don't let shrugging or compression occur. The harder I pull my legs together, the more fire I can start and the tougher it's gonna be. So really use those to your advantage. If I really push together with straight knees, it becomes a very difficult exercise. And the slower I go, the slower it'll be, or the harder it'll be on those muscles as well. So really pull everything together. Do about 4 more. Keep your breathing and height here. And then relax. From that position, let's take a breather, arms down, shoulders away from the ears, and we're gonna go back into our shin box to the left. Now we're gonna practice our cross kneeling positions. So from this position, I wanna be nice and tall in my rectangle, and I want to use my hands initially to reach and come up into a kneeling position. I wanna have a lot of space in the front of my hips. I don't wanna be bent here, and I don't wanna be hyperlordotic or have too much curvature in the low back. So imagine if someone karate chopped you here, hit them back, space this all out, get very tall, keep rectangular integrity here, large rectangle, tall through the crown. Find some activation on the back of the hip muscles and hold this posture for about 3 deep breaths. And on the exhale, I'm gonna reach my butt back as my arms reach forward. This counterbalance helps me set my butt down nice and easy. The most important thing here is control. So if you feel your hips slap the floor, feel free to go as far as you can, pause. You feel like you're gonna lose it from there, hold where you feel like you're gonna lose it, breathe, and really strain and fatigue those muscles here. And once you finally give up, use your hands to set down slowly, or go ahead and plop. It's a good feedback tool. So we're gonna go nice and wide, paint the floor, back to this side, keep rectangular integrity, head over base of support. From this side, we're going up into the same motion. Long through here, tight back here, tall through the crown, lots of rectangular space. 3 to 5 nasal inhales and exhales. And exhale, come down. Reach with the arms for the counterbalance. Try to slowly lower. And if there's a point where we're gonna plop, hold it, fatigue out, reach tall until you have to come down, either plop or use the hands. So we'll switch back, and now we'll make a little flow. We're just gonna come up and down 5 times per side. Lots of control, no need to be speedy here. If I get ahead of you, just keep going, pause the video. Keep your rectangle tall, especially through these transitions. Tall spine, don't forget to breathe if you're holding your breath. That's not good. last 2 per side. Let's get a little faster. Build some grace here. And if at any point I end up doing 6 per side, give me a break. Do a little more, or skip over it and wait me out. And back to center. Should be pretty fried through here at this point. So we'll go into our shin box to the left. Chest down, we're gonna rest here. From this rested position, I wanna keep shoulder, ear, and hip all in one line. And I wanna keep myself a little righted here. I don't wanna do a full rest. I wanna breathe my belly into my leg and breathe my kidneys out and round. So big in the front of the body, big in the side of the body, breathing like a crocodile, or like if I had a weight or an inner tube around me, breathe out into the inner tube. And then we're gonna reach this back leg till we feel a contraction here. If there's any pain or discomfort, we'll bypass this movement altogether. Pull back in. And we're just reaching, trying to reach the heel as far from the crown as possible without any strain. Get a good, nice contraction and do as much movement as you can here without any pain or discomfort. We'll do 5 each way. Just gonna kind of open this up from getting taxed with the hinges and get our glute and hip extensors working. We'll come up, push down, stay tall, transition. This side, 3 to 5 nasal breaths. Big into this whole area. Breathe your kidneys back, sides out, belly down. And as you keep breathing, we'll start to extend our heel away from the crown. 3 to 5 pumps. Feeling the extensors or glute muscles. If you feel any kind of cramping here, bypass this movement altogether. Or keep pushing into the cramp, and if the cramp goes away, conquer the cramp. Cramps are just bad movement leaving the body, so if you cramp, shake it out, try the exact same movement again, and the hierarchy of the order in which that muscle was used might change. You might notice a lot less cramping when you go back and do the same thing over again. Press this down to come up. We're gonna enter our cool down phase. So we're gonna go into a wide position here, tall through the rectangle. Shake the legs out. Let's go ahead and shake them out 30 seconds. We'll do 15 here. Stay tall while you shake the legs out. Go a little narrower. Try to shake them violently without moving your rectangle. And then we're good. We're gonna lift our knees up just like this from the side, and we're gonna cool down with our rocking rectangle motion. So imagine the neon rectangle, it's floating in the dark, it comes up on its bottom left when you're on your left glute, it comes up on its bottom right on your right glute, and floats. If the lights are off, you're a neon rectangle, it's just translating without breaking. It's staying in a perfect rectangular form. And we're just going back and forth. Maybe push this knee into the ground, keeping the rectangle. We're gonna go 10 per side. Head goes with you, don't stop breathing. If these get tired, do the shakeout again. Pause me and do the shakeout again. Stay tall, stay upright. If we're coming back like this, feel free to add some arms. Just take everything with you. Get taller if you can. And then we'll shake it out again. 30-second shakeout. Let's go ahead and support with the hands to the side. Get tall, chin in, shake it out. Move around however you need to. Stand up, run around, whatever you need to. If you need to pause and you're really burning through here, take as much time as you need before you get back to the flow. Last part of our cool down, same position. Now we're reaching without breaking the rectangle. 10 times per side. Staying tall if we need to use the arm. Just keep integrity of the rectangle in the core. Breathe big in through your nose, slightly pressurized, out through the mouth. Don't have to use the arms if you want to make it tougher. The tougher you can make it, the more you can upright it and use less arms. If you're back here, try to use the arms, but don't leave your head forward. Try to take it back with you. Again, keeping rectangular posture. Breathing through that whole thing. If that wasn't enough, feel free to go and do another round. But in the programming, we recommend to follow it point by point. And this is definitely our week 1 ritual. So get really good at it. We'll progress it in videos 2 and 3 of advanced flows. And feel free to DM us or email us with any questions or hang-ups. We're always here to help.